It's a belief system. He's allowed to believe it, and people are allowed to vote for it. But if liberals deny it, like he's just going through a goth phase, they're going to lose more elections. This is not a communist country. It turned one of Latin America's richest countries into one of its poorest. Low wages, high inflation, shortages, outages, 8 million people fleeing. If you think New York can somehow reinvent this wheel, you're in for a rude awakening. Zoran can't make your wishes come.
Finally, it's happening. Bill Maher is exposing the true cause of the Democratic Party's ongoing strategy failure. You would think that the DNC's reputation would rise in the midst of the ongoing ICE scandal. Instead, it is rapidly plummeting. Many individuals want to know why. However, Maher asserts that he is aware of the reality, which will truly surprise you. So let's go straight to the point and hit the subscribe button for aggressive, unvarnished political criticism. Maher begins the exposé by focusing on what he calls the DNC's uneasy shift toward far-left ideologies. He sees it as more than just campaign rhetoric, contending that voters are interpreting parts of the party's messaging as having a socialist slant. Some might counter that it is incorrect to characterize a national movement using the words of one vocal politician, and that individuals like Mum Danny do not.
Let me tell you about the story that liberal algorithms locked out. Her name is Sia Weaver, and if you ask anyone in the blue sky bubble who that is, they'll look at you like a turkey looking up at the rain. But she's kind of important in New York, being Major Mamdani's chief of the Office to Protect Tenants, and since Mamdani's big issue is the rent's too damn high, yes, he stole this guy's act. It's a very key appointment in the most important city in the country, which is also our financial center. It matters that the mayor stands by, and so I assume stands with, someone who says things like, if you don't believe in the government's sacred right to seize private property, it's over. Seize private property. Home ownership is racist. Elect more communists.
Maher continues by claiming that there is a straightforward but politically explosive explanation why the Democratic strategy is failing. A lot of Americans automatically shudder when they hear the word communism. He claims that the electorate will become alarmed just by the label. Many voters associate the phrase with visions of economic stagnation, lost liberties, and government overreach, making it seem harsh, even menacing. And Maher says it's politically foolish to dismiss that perception, regardless of how accurate or inflated it is. He argues that Americans have defined themselves against centralized economic power across history and culture. During the Cold War, generations were brought up with communism as the ideological foe. Thus, it causes concern when speech starts to allude to those subjects, even in passing. Maher contends that ignoring their worries as ignorance just serves to widen the gap. In his opinion, political repercussions are unavoidable and self-inflicted if voters link democratic discourse to unsuccessful socialist efforts from the past.
Property, especially home ownership, is a weapon of white supremacy. Really? Even among the 20 million black Americans who own their own home? I mean, these are the kind of utterances I might forgive as something a dumb white girl said while she was at Bryn Mawr. Because it's the kind of privilege hating you can only learn for $95,000 a year. But these are statements made as an adult. Yes, for co-eds from elite private colleges, you're only a lesbian until graduation, but the communism lasts a lifetime.
Maher maintains that Mamdani's overtly socialist branding is seriously harming the Democratic Party's reputation in general. According to him, it goes beyond a single politician's agenda. It has to do with perception. When a well-known person adopts ideas that are commonly characterized as socialist or communist, opponents take advantage of it and run the risk of painting the entire party in the same light. Maher contends that this story is politically costly. He points out that even many millennials aren't immediately convinced by the message, which is even more unexpected. Younger voters are perceived as more progressive, but they also have a practical understanding of the economy. They are concerned about long-term opportunities, corporate expansion, inflation, and employment. Policy support rapidly wanes if it seems excessive or economically hazardous. Maher makes a bold generalization. Critics can portray the DNC as leaning too far to the left by elevating individuals like Mandani into important positions. And once that label is applied, undoing the harm becomes a difficult task that the party may find difficult to accomplish.
Democrats seem to be having this debate whether or not Mayor Mamdani is a socialist or a democratic socialist. Let me settle it. He's a straight-up communist. How do I know this? Well, I'm reading between the lines when one of his major advisors says, elect more communists.
Maher's point is more than just a viewpoint. It is already a topic of discussion in the political press. Maher called Zoran Mandani a blatant communist on Real Time and said that Democrats run the danger of losing elections if they don't recognize the impact that branding has on people. And he might be right. Even though Democrats' opinions on socialism have changed, the majority of Americans still favor capitalism over socialism, according to a Gallup study. Furthermore, a lot of Republicans have a very bad opinion of socialism. Thus terms like socialist or communist still have political significance. America is not Venezuela, and it's safe to assume that the majority of Americans don't want to witness such instability or economic unrest in their own nation. Maher contends that Democratic leaders may suffer significant branding costs even in the 2028 elections if they permit their opponents to portray them as radical or extreme without retaliation. It pivoted.
It's a belief system. He's allowed to believe it, and people are allowed to vote for it. But if liberals deny it, like he's just going through a goth phase, they're going to lose more elections. This is not a communist country.
Maher's point isn't just opinion. It's already become a talking point in political...
America's richest countries into one of its poorest. Low wages, high inflation, shortages, outages, 8 million people fleeing. If you think New York can somehow reinvent this wheel, you're in for a rude awakening. Zoran can't make your wishes come true. You're thinking of Zolt.
Maher continues with a more complex argument. There are already aspects of American democracy that might be characterized as socialist. Spending on infrastructure, Social Security, Medicare, and public schools. These are government-funded or government-run initiatives aimed at promoting the general welfare. Stated differently, the system already combines a minimal social safety net with market capitalism. He does not contend that all collective policies are harmful. It is that balance and makeover are not the same thing. Maher contends that pursuing a fully socialist system runs the risk of disrupting the economic engine that propels innovation and progress. He admits that socialism frequently seems like a good idea in theory since it guarantees equality, fairness, and services. On paper, it promises wealth and security for all. However, he contends that application in the actual world is much more difficult. Rewards change. Efficiency drops when bureaucracy grows. He issues a caution about realizing that significant structural change may have unintended repercussions that outweigh any potential benefits. The idea of CO disguising 2-year-olds who would never have died from it and keeping schools closed for an extended period of time frightened them.